All right, so today we're going to go over graphing radical functions, specifically the square root function. So square root. All right, so first thing we're going to do is pick values of x to plug in. Now when I pick my values of x, I'm going to pick values of x that make sense. So for example, I'm not going to pick any negative numbers because I can't take the square root of a negative number. So the first value I'm going to pick is 0. The y value, so the square root of 0 is 0. And then I can plot this point. The next x value I'm going to pick is 1, and the square root of 1 is 1, so then I'm going to plot this point. Now the next x value, a lot of people will be like, oh, pick 2. Well, you can pick 2. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what the square root of 2 is off the top of my head. It's not a pretty number. So the next x value I'm going to pick was going to be 4, because I know that this, when I plug in 4 into my function, the square root of 4 is 2. And the last x value that I will pick will be 9, because the square root of 9 equals 3. So now when I connect these points, this is what my graph looks like. And you should notice that it looks like kind of half a sideways parabola. Okay? Because it's like the square root, which is the inverse function. So our domain for this function, your domain is your left and right, so how far left and right you're going. So my furthest left x value is 0, and since it's actually touching 0, we're going to put a bracket on 0, comma, and then the furthest right that this function goes, I have an arrow going to the right, so this is going to go to infinity. And we put a parenthesis on infinity because we can't actually touch infinity, it's just a concept, it's not an actual number. Now your range is your low to your high, so my lowest y value is at 0, and again, since it's touching 0, we'll put a bracket on 0. And then my highest value, I have an arrow that's going up. So this is going up to infinity. And again, we put parentheses on infinity because we're not actually touching it. All right. Now, in class, I would actually show you on a graphing calculator, and we'd take guesses about what these functions look like. So we should be able to use our transformation rules from before. So if I was to plug, actually, let's go back over here. So now, instead of making a table every time, you can make a table every time if you want and then graph it. Sometimes it's easier to recognize a pattern. So notice that each time I'm going up 1 each time. And I'm going over 1, and then I go over 3, and then I go over 5. So our pattern is going to be over our odds and up 1. So we're going to go up 1 and over our odds. Again, our odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. We could keep going forever. All right. Now, a negative in front of this is going to reflect over the x-axis. So if I'm reflecting this, I'm still starting at 0. But now instead of going up, I'm going down. So I'm going down 1 over 1, down 1 over 3, down 1 over 5. Now, inside, our graph is left and right, but this is opposite. So a plus 5 inside our square root, you would think adding 5 would move to the right, but remember it's opposite on the inside. So inside, I'm going to move left 5. So now instead of starting at 0, 0, I'm going to go right 5, and that's going to be my starting point. And then we can follow our pattern of going up 1 and over our odds. So I go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 3, up 1 over 5, and then I'd go up 1 over 7, but I don't have enough room. All right, now again, if I look at number 4, I've got the square root of x minus 1. And the minus 1 is inside. So remember, inside is left and right, and it's opposite of what you think. So subtracting 1 on the inside is going to move our graph to the right 1. So instead of starting at 0, 0, I go right 1. And that's my point. And then I can follow my pattern of going up 1 over my odds. So I go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 3, up 1 over 5. And then we can connect our points. Right. Now, number 5. If inside the square root moves our graph left and right, outside the square root moves our graph up and down. And up and down is normal. So minus 8 is going to move our graph down 8. So now instead of starting at 0, 0, I go down 8 and make a point. And then I can follow my pattern of going up 1 and over my odds. So up 1 over 1, up 1 over 3, up 1 over 5. And then I can connect. So again, outside our function, and we're adding and subtracting outside, is going to move our graph up and down. So the plus 3 on the outside is going to move our graph up 3. So instead of starting at 0, 0, I go up 3 and make a point. And then I can follow my pattern of going up 1 and over my odds. So up 1 over 1, up 1 over 3, up 1 over 5. And then I'll connect my points. All right. Now, number 7. Any number in front of our graph is is like a stretch. So here, this is a stretch by 2. And what's stretching something, this is stretching it vertically, is instead of going up 1 each time, I'm now going up 2 because I'm pulling it taller. So I'm going up 2 and over my odds. So I'm still starting at 0, 0. Haven't moved any. But now I'm going to go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 3, up 2 over 5. And then I can connect my points. All right, so let's kind of summarize here what were the effects. So a negative in front is going to reflect or flip over the x-axis. Adding on the inside, so when we're adding on the inside, it's going to go to the left h units. Subtracting on the inside is going to move to the right however many units. Adding on the outside moves our graph up k units or whatever number that is. And subtracting on the outside is going to move it down k units. Now a number in front, depending on what this number is it could stretch our graph if it's bigger than 1. However, if it's like 1/2, I can't really stretch it a half. So that's like shrinking or compressing our graph. This is changing how many we're going up each time. All right, so pause this if you need to write these down. All right, so let's put it all together. So, number 14, I've got a negative in front, so this is going to reflect our graph. The minus 3 on the inside is left and right, and it's opposite, so this is going to go to the right 3. And on the outside, it moves up and down, so this is going to move our graph up 4. So now to get my starting point, Instead of starting at 0, 0, I'm going to go right 3 and up 4. Now once I get my starting point, since it's reflected, I'm going to go down 1 and over my odds. So I'm going down 1, right 1, down 1, right 3, and then I would go down 1, right 5. That's off our graph though. So we could connect it. So now your domain, again, is left and right. It's how far left and right we're going. So my furthest left value is at 3. And since it's actually touching, we're going to put a bracket. So it's a bracket on 3. And then the furthest right I'm going right to infinity. Now my range is my up and down. So my lowest point, this arrow is going down. So my lowest point is going to be at negative infinity. My highest value is when y is 4. Once it's actually touching 4, we put a bracket on 4. Notice these specific colors that I picked out. This inside left and right value is always going to be how far left and right you're moving. And the same thing with your up and down, that's changing your range because that's changing your y value. So it's just a helpful way to kind of check yourself. I like to use it off the graph, but it's the same thing off those points as well. All right, 15. So the 2 in front is stretching our graph by a factor of 2. The inside is +1 is going to move our graph to the left 1 because it's opposite on the inside. And the -3 is going to move our graph down 3. So to get my starting point, I'm going to go left 1 and down 3. So I go left 1 and down 3. Now to get my other points, I'm going to go up 2 because of the stretch and over my odds. So I go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 3, up 2 over 5. Up 2 over 1, up 2 over 3, and up 2 over 5. And then I can draw my curve. Now your domain is how far left and right your graph is going. So my furthest left is at -1. And my furthest right, since I've got an arrow going to the right, is going to be infinity. Your range is your low to your high. So my lowest value is at -3. Since I'm actually touching it, I'm putting a bracket. While my highest value, I'm going up, and my arrow is going to continue going up. So it's going up to infinity. All right, so that's basically a summarize on how you graph it. Now we're going to look at writing an equation from the transformations. So we're starting with the square root of x. So then 16, we're going to shift it 2 to the right and up 4. So inside is left and right, outside is up and down. So y equals the square root. To the right would be inside. So this would be x minus 2 because it's opposite. And 4 up would be a +4 on the outside. You can write where y equals, you can write f of x equals, either one's fine. All right. 17, compress by a factor of 0.5. So when we, again, compress is kind of like stretching, it's just smaller. So compress by 0.5 means I'm going to put a 0.5 in front of my square root. We're going to multiply our square root by 0.5. I'm not moving it left or right in any, so there's nothing going to be inside the square root. And then my last one, I'm going to go up 3, so I'll put a plus 3 on the outside. So what I'd like you to do now is to pause the video, try 18 and 19, see if you can get these, and then I will unpause and show you answers. So go ahead and pause. Alright, so check your answers. 18 should be y equals -3 square root of x plus 1. And 19 should be y equals -2 square roots of x plus 5 minus 3. And 20 is the last one. So 20, what we're going to do is we're going to write down our transformations, and then it'll look like the previous 4. And then we can write the equation. So something I've noticed, this graph has been reflected. It's going upside down. This has also gone left 2 and up 2. So reflected means I'm going to put a negative in front of my square root. So I have a negative in front of my square root. Left 2 means inside my square root, I'm going to have an x plus 2 because it's opposite on the inside. And up 2 means I'm going to have a plus 2 on the outside of the square root. All right, so that is the notes. You have a worksheet that you can go ahead and get started on if you haven't already. And if you have any questions, feel free to email, remind, send me a message anyway. All right, have a good one. Bye.